Hello, I'm Dave Kelkinoff, and I will be arguing the con side of Internet censorship.
And I'm Vin Gaeta, and I will be arguing the pro side of internet censorship. So basically, the three topics that we're going to cover tonight in our debate are censoring on blogs and open forums, censoring of news through kind of manipulation and threats from a powerful person, and then we're going to wrap it up discussing some internet piracy and the censoring of that. So starting it off with open forums, I'm all for internet censorship in regards to open forums. I think it's perfectly acceptable to pull down posts that are threatening or kind of attacking a certain group of people if it's racist or anti-Semitic or just hate speech. I think the admin of that forum or blog has a right to remove comments or pull posts like that down because it's hateful speech and there's no need for that.
Well,
what do you think, Dave?
I just think that everybody has the right to have their own freedom of speech. So if it's up there, it should be up there because people can express themselves freely over the internet. So why should it be blocked?
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, if it's hateful to a certain group of people and the admin doesn't want that kind of content on their blog because it brings a negative light to their organization or company, what have you, don't you think that they should have the right to take that down?
That's just going to fire up people more because they're going to be able to access that information, so they just can't take it personal, it's becomes part of the culture, once you're on that site. If the the guy that's running the site, those comments are still going to be there. So, to me, that would make the site even more interesting because then people from all over are going to be able to see the comments made, and people get to express themselves freely and openly, and there's no shame in doing so. So people just, don't need to take it so personal.
Yeah. Going ahead into one of the topics that the articles actually went into was wealthy businessmen kind of censoring news reports. The example that was given in the online censorship article was Frank Vandersloot threatening legal action against an author for, excuse me, releasing articles that were critical of his political stances supporting Mitt Romney. And I mean, I'm for that. If the author doesn't have the background information to prove his points, then it's kind of defamation of character almost. And obviously, if he had the background sources and the real information to prove his points, I don't think he would have been scared off by a payoff or by a threat of legal action.
Well, to me, if he's trying to protect himself, that's one thing. But if the stuff's already out there, the guy, he needs to have proof that that's actually happened, before it can be published, because then he's taken, false information about the guy, and it's not correct.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think that it's kind of, would you say that it's all right for someone that's wealthy and in a position of power to be throwing their weight around like that? I mean, if you or I threaten legal action, just average citizens against a blog, I highly doubt that they would automatically take their articles down. I think they would kind of, maybe push back a little more. But if it's a wealthy businessman that obviously has the power and the money to go to court for years on end, I mean, you're more likely to just fold and take the articles down.
Right, well, exactly. I mean, if you're a wealthy businessman, then you could have the money and have the power to pay whomever off, to keep his mouth shut if you've got any political dirt behind you that you don't want to be out there, or any other issues that you may have. Yeah, I mean, sure. So that prevents that negative stuff out there, so that won't get publicized. So it's just the way that they can protect themselves, and that kind of goes around internet censorship because they're, you know, given money under the table, in order to protect themselves. And if that's the way they want to do it, so be it. But then that kind of eliminates internet censorship because they're going about it in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's more of an unethical way because that's almost, you're right, kind of going around internet censorship, but it almost is internet censorship in a way because it's if it would have been written, I think it would have been a little more difficult to actually get out of the press right away. Whereas if it's on a blog, you can go hit delete post and it's gone. I mean, yeah, it's cached in your database or whatever, but it's off the page right away. Whereas if it was printed in a newspaper, you're gonna have to release a public statement. We're sorry that we printed this. It was wrong. Blah blah blah. But it brings up the ethical issue of is it okay for someone in a position of power like that to abuse their power and pay off to get information that may or may not be true. No one knows if it was true. Out of the press.
Again, it just comes down to, information that they don't want to be, that they don't want to have out there, that somehow it's gotten out there, and they have to try to stick up for themselves to clear their name if it gets out there. And I do agree with you in regards to if it's a printed copy or a magazine or something like that, and any information that gets out there on a politician or anyone, an athlete or whoever, that information on print is always out there. On the internet, yes, it can be deleted, but it's got to be deleted within a certain period of time, because if you wait too long, that blog will gain so much attention because people will be commenting on it, and each comment that somebody has on there will gain more attention. So then that has to be obviously removed, and it can kind of be hard or difficult if that post is up there for a lengthy period of time, maybe 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah. And let's transition to the last topic of internet piracy and internet censorship through that. One of the recent stories that have come about is the shutdown of Mega Upload and the ongoing prosecution of Kim.com, who was the owner and runner of Mega Upload, which allowed for file sharing and large-scale internet piracy. I'm kind of for shutting down something like that. I mean, it was allowing people to steal books and music and movies that they should be paying for. I mean, if you have the money to be able to spend, I don't see why you need to steal it online through a software program like Mega Upload. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a fan of stealing, online or music, or if they have the copyright to it, and I'm not, I usually, buy all my music on iTunes, and you're usually going to see a fee that you're going to have to pay in order to get that music. So it's not, I mean, I understand that people want to protect themselves for copyright issues and so forth, but I have stolen pictures, so the pictures to me, sometimes I just think that some people are just making too big a deal about it, because if the picture's available to take, then just, why not take? I don't see anyone, really going to go through the whole process of hunting you down and going through a whole lawsuit over a picture that they took, that they want to have. They want to get recognition for taking that picture, and as opposed to me stealing a picture, it would be like me claiming that I took the picture. So then, that's where it gets, a little dicey, because I actually didn't take the picture. But, people take pictures all the time on the internet, and it's not that big a deal to me. Music, on the other hand, is different, but again, people were recording songs off the radio, even though it may not be that quality, that great quality. When you record something on a cassette tape, you're still kind of copying that same song. So to me, it just, became a big deal over the internet because of the guy from Metallica, Lars, and he's the one who kind of set everything in place in regard to the piracy issues. And then there was also issues with Vanilla Ice and some music that he had out there. So it'll never end. It's always going to be continuing thing. You know, so it's just something that's hard to stop. You know, there's just so much out there over the internet as it is.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I don't think internet piracy is going to be, stopped because they censored one site and pulled that website down. But I mean, only time will tell. The internet definitely allowed piracy to, be more widespread and more easily accessible. I mean, you didn't see people getting arrested for, recording songs on the radio to cassette, but now that you can download it and get it at any time, it's kind of a big deal. In closing, I'm Vin Gaeta, and I was arguing the pro side of censoring internet sites and internet information.
And I'm Dave Kalkinoff, and I was arguing the con side of internet censorship and information. Have a good one.